Hi, welcome to Charot Room with your Queen Charotera, the FaelnarTe.
And of course, I'm Angel Qinan.
And I'm missing two of my daughters, but we have a very special guest. She's like one of my most favorite people that I've worked with before. She's a filmmaker, and she's one of the most woke people that I also know.
Know about that.
Welcome, Esmeralda.
Yay! Welcome.
Hi. And
Excited to be on.
Oh my God, yes. Thank you for. I know you're a little camera shy, so thank you for agreeing to this.
Sure.
So Esmeralda is like one of those people that if I have a project, I always go to her and ask her if it's a good idea, blah blah blah, this and that. I value her opinion a lot because
Same.
she graduated in one of like the premier like film schools here.
You're a dork.
It's true though. And basically, she's going to probably ask us questions that might be a little too risque to ask in a normal setting, especially if you're asking a trans person that didn't allow you to have this type of conversations. We're creating a space right now where it's okay for her to ask us somewhat challenging questions, maybe because like she probably wants to be a better ally. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I think it's common that people are curious and want to ask questions, but it's good that we have Esmeralda here because we feel safe with her, and I know it's coming from the heart. That's why she's asking us questions, and because this is Charot Room, we actually are brave to answer questions. I think, and at least we know how to divert it with all.
Yeah, and we can still
Yeah.
make it funny as possible. Like I started trusting Esmeralda when I asked to leave early for work once because I needed to do like a speech for like trans lives won't be erased type of thing. Like I that was like a few years back, and out of the blue, like I see her like pop up in like the park that we were going to speak with. I'm like, wait, she actually came to like hear me speak, and then that's kind of cool that somebody from
Aww.
work came to support me. Like, and I didn't. I just gave her like details, but I wasn't expecting you to come. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was cool of you. You were mentioning that you were gonna do that speech, and you were rehearsing, and you were also rehearsing it with all the coworkers, so we all were very aware of it. So of course, I wanted to see that in action. So it was great.
Well, that's one of the things allies should be doing is supporting
Yeah,
also. So
for
what are these
sure.
questions?
Or the what?
What
What's
are
the
the questions?
questions?
Oh, the
Bring it
questions.
on.
Okay, great.
Bring it
Yeah.
on.
And as you both said, this is kind of a safe space you both have created, which is great. And I think, again, being a good advocate is continuing to learn about the trans community. Just like any other community, it's evolving. So as a cis woman, the best way you could be an advocate and an ally is just to keep on learning and supporting trans people in the trans community. So I think that kind of the first question is a little bit topical, and it's regarding coping mechanisms coping mechanisms that you guys have when you hear about violence towards trans people. It's a little bit we're starting on a little bit of a heavier topic, but something kind of topical because we've been seeing stuff on the news as of yesterday, of violence towards trans women. And I want to ask, what is your coping mechanism for that, and kind of the self-care, what you do kind of to care for yourself when you hear about these issues and potentially kind of be re-traumatized or traumatized by it.
Okay, so we're filming this during a time where we just like watched a few trans women being harassed and attacked in Los Angeles. So when I heard about the news, I just really wanted to watch the whole thing because I wanted to know like what happened, how it transpired, blah blah blah, this and that. It was hard to watch, like for the most part, but at the same time, it's also like I wanted to repost it so that other people in my friend groups would know that this is like the reality and this is actually happening, and we're not crazy to ask for equality, especially, and also fair treatment, because like this actually really happens. And a way to cope, it's kind of funny because since I know that this does happen, I feel like my way to cope is just like if I got cut and then I just need to put a band-aid on it, and then eventually it will heal. It's just like that. It feels like it's such a common thing that we as trans people experience, and the cis people just turn a blind eye. Um, Most of the times, if not all the time, to it, that it's just like, okay, so I put a band-aid for now, so and wait till that feels better, so that I can actually cope with my day, or like talk to my roommate, because my roommate's also trans, so I also have that way to release like my anger and all of that. So I'm not sure if I'm making sense.
No, yeah, well, you kind of you share these stories, so it's not hidden, unfortunately, because it is looked away from, as you were saying, by so many. Um, and I think it's always therapeutic to be able to talk to someone who has a similar experience or kind of can empathize with you, right?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And like Angel, what do you have you ever experienced something similar to that? Because I know I have.
Um, Luckily, not something that led to violence. Of course, I mean, getting catcalls, that's kind of, it happens even in daylight, even at nighttime. It's scary. I try to just make sure I try to keep safe as much as I can, whatever that means. If it means running to my car or like not going
Yeah.
out at night, um, you know, um, yeah. So unfortunately, as you said, it's almost like a given fact in our community, especially for people of color. Like, I think I have a little bit of privilege of not being um, in those situations that I will be out on the street late at night, and um, or if I would go out walking at night, I would be with my boyfriend, and even that I'm scared. I'm already with my boyfriend, and it's still scary for me. Um, but it's yeah, I mean, I just try to avoid it as much as I can. So it's actually fear, and I think people should not really live in fear, but safety is important. So I support, let's say, the movements like Black Trans Lives Matter. So I speak up sometimes on my social media about it. I do not repost like what happened there because I have my family who's also like following my social media, and it is very traumatic for other people, especially if my family is already like scared about my life being trans, like kind of adding those things to them. Like my mom is already old, so I don't want her to worry more about me. But there are other ways to be able to support in terms of, if I know the people, I watch the film, I watch the videos also. So if I know the people, I would report it, I, yeah, it's kind of like hard to, it's a hard reality. It's almost like it's a fact of our reality now
You know,
that trans people have the highest rates of the murders.
you know what's funny? What you said, like you're scared that your mom would be more worried about you. I think that was like the biggest reason why my mom didn't want me to be trans or gay. Well, like when she found out that I was very super effeminate. Like I remember before I went to the United States, like when I was still in the Philippines, she asked my brother, who normally works out, to teach me how to do like push-ups and train me so that my body would get bigger, so that nobody would probably would bully me when I moved here. And like her biggest fear is like when I started working and I just moved here to America, she could not sleep if I went out with my coworkers until I went home, because she was just afraid that something might happen to me. And that was probably, I still, I think till now, like that's one of her biggest fears when I transitioned, or because like I am like part of a minority. And Um, I actually told her like the moment that she probably clicked in calling the name that I chose rather than my dead name was when I said like, Mom, I think like you calling me by my dead name, although it does hurt that I did change my name to what it is now, like my chosen name. I feel like calling me by my dead name might put me in danger,
Mm.
especially like with other people when I'm surrounded like with other people that don't know me in public. Like if
Mhm.
you try to like do that when I'm in public, that might put me more in danger than just trying to call me by my like the name that I chose for myself now. So for the most part, she uses my give it like my name now, and then she calls me by my dead name when she's like when we're in close proximity of like just family and like. But for the most part, she's good already. So it was a learning process for her, but like yeah, I had to actually say that for her to be more what do you call this, to ride the bus of like calling me by
So it sounds like you got a little bit of benefit from the violence in terms of your mom being able to accept calling you with a less obvious name that
I I
outing you to be trans in public.
I think it's more like it's a reality that we get in danger and stuff like that. And I think like just like I feel like on her part, like her worry was more of me getting hurt and like the hurt that she felt because
Mm.
of the stuff that of like her not feeling like she was a good like mom taking care of
Yeah.
me, blah blah blah, this and that, or anything that or any of the hurt that she felt upon my transition. She was able to like forget about her hurt so that her daughter won't get in danger. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Like she was like able to like something clicked where she thought like, oh my god, my the safety of my daughter is more important than
Yeah.
like, whatever like hurt that whatever I've done
Hmm.
like cost like during that time like that was like long ago, that was beginning of
Yeah.
transition and like during
Yeah. Well, that shows that having an open discussion with your parent, or hopefully a parent that's open about um, your transition, just making them aware of dangers, because it seemed like she knew that it was a dangerous life to live your authentic self, but didn't know specifics. So something like saying your dead name is a danger when it's something that she was so used to.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure. Do you ever experience catcalling and how have you handled it, Lizette?
Oh yeah, I do. I'm really small. I'm 5'1", so I feel like I'm an easy target.
Plus, you're
I
really
usually
pretty.
Oh, thank you. You all are too. But it doesn't matter. Like people that catcall, it's like whomever they can target. So it's beyond like how you look or whatever, which is ridiculous. But it's more of like a power thing. But yeah, I've been catcalled several times. Usually I ignore it just because it's a safety issue and I am so small. But when I'm with someone else, usually I have I have a twin brother. I think because of that, I am used to being friends with a lot of like guys. I'm used to like male company and stuff. A lot of my great friends are guys and stuff. So when I hang out with a lot of guys and I'm catcalled, they usually like, say something back and something kind of like impressive, which is nice to always uh, kind of get back at the cat callers, but it's not something I could do individually because it's a safety issue,
Yeah.
which sucks. Um, so yeah, that's definitely has happened, but it's usually I think all we can really do is ignore it, unfortunately.
So it sounds like you also have your own coping mechanism whenever you hear on the news about, let's say, not even just trans, even if it's a cis woman who was kind of like being like abused on the street or something like that. It's kind of
Yeah,
like starting with a cat call.
yeah. Well, it's always very unnerving, I think, because you're always put in that place where you're like, yeah, you're powerless in that instance because of a safety issue. You can't do anything. So it's kind of always very unnerving when you see that, and there's not much you can really do. I think like with TikTok and stuff, people are now pointing out like, oh, this is a person that did that. Like, let's kind of like not don't look away at this person
Yeah.
because he or she, I guess, but usually like it's a male, a person catcalling. they think like they could catcall someone and be anonymous, and now it's like less so because of social media and because more people, I think, are the society in somewhat, someone is changing and making sure that that shouldn't be something that's okay. Yeah, so there's that.
So like you said, like you have a lot of cis male friends, or maybe probably like just like cis friends in general. Did you ever have to correct a misconception about trans folk, like ever since like you met me, or did you have any misconceptions about trans folk that I actually cleared up for you
Mm-hmm.
at all, knowing that I'm not like the best person to ask?
I know. No,
I'm so oblivious.
I don't know about misconceptions, maybe, because it's just we've known each other a while. It hasn't been like super long, but we've known each other a while. But just you've made me think of things, obviously, that I wouldn't have thought of, like issues, obviously, because of my cis privilege, that I wouldn't think of certain things of, like, I don't have the issue of disclosing when I'm dating and stuff like that, and how that kind of poses a problem, or how you know, dating is difficult in general, and how there's
What,
an
you don't
added
have to
layer when you're a
disclose
trans
that you're
person.
cis?
I know, right? Yeah.
They don't ask you about your privates like right away.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So there's, yeah, definitely that. But there's difficulty in dating, and when you've shared just like general stuff about how there's like an added layer of difficulty, that just made me more conscious. And it's about learning of stuff that you wouldn't think of because of the privilege that you have, and that's definitely been helpful. But yeah, on that topic, dating. Not stories, but kind of what can you share about dating experiences, and how, I guess, people can be better allies to trans people in the dating scene?
I don't know, like, but my pet peeve is like, especially now that I can't really go out and meet somebody in person, like, dating online, or like, what do you call this, dating through apps is like the best way to meet somebody. And also I think it's the safest way to meet somebody, because like you can disclose it right away. Not all people come up to you right away and say like, hey, are you trans, and then just like ask you out and stuff like that, if that's like their preference for dating. But I hate it when, before they even ask me about like how I am as a person, the first question is, are you a top or are you bottom? And that, like, that makes me like, what the fudge? And I'm like, really? Like, that's like the first question, or like that's something like somebody would say like, hey, I haven't really dated a trans person before, but like you're so pretty. I just want to know if like, do you have a vagina? So it's just like, and when that's the first question, it's just like, I don't know if I want to deal with that. So I'm like, thank you, you're cute, but there's Google, and I don't want to deal with that. I mean, it gets difficult. I'm not gonna say like I haven't had good dates, and like I haven't. There was even a time, like, this is gonna sound bad, but like there was a time when I was younger, and that I would just go to bars and just for the hell of it, not for the hell of it, just so that I can have that validation, not even disclose. And that was more because like I was more scared on how I was going to be treated if I disclosed. And it's not because like you don't want to. It's more because like you actually want to feel more normalized, rather than treated, like, rather than have to like explain yourself, and like I don't know. Like Angel has more luck with me on that. Obviously, she's been with her partner for more than 5 years. Or 5 years now.
5 years, yeah. Well, in with your obviously disclosure is one thing. I mean, the way I always say with disclosure is, if it's safe to disclose, at least me personally, as long as I feel safe to disclose it, and the earliest time I can disclose it without that being like the main attention, then it would, if it rolls out on the conversation naturally, then it will roll out. But I I don't need to say, hi, I'm Angel, I'm trans, but if it kind of, we start talking and we start talking about childhood and whatever, and then it will come up with the conversation. If it's meeting in a bar for the first time, again, safety. So depending on if I feel safe disclosing it to the person or not, then maybe I'll just make sure nothing kind of happens. And then if we do end up exchanging numbers, then I disclose before they ask for the second date, kind of. So really, it depends on where. So that's why online dating comes in good. But it's not just the disclosure, because I think your question was when it relates to dating, how people can be allies. So I think, first of all, if you're trans attracted, then it would be good to kind of be open about that and discussing it with your friends, because there are people who are attracted to trans people. And I mean, it has to start somewhere that it actually exists. Secondly, if you're not attracted to trans, but you know somebody who's attracted to trans, or somebody who's trans, or somebody, or it just comes out on the conversation, I hope you don't sensationalize too much that that person is dating a trans person. I mean, it's normal. Some people are attracted to trans people, and I think you should respect what other people's, uh, like preferences are, or the people that they want to date. Don't put them down, because I think that it's kind of like a toxic masculinity culture that people would say, oh my God, you're dating a trans person, so you're gay, or you're this, or you're that. So first of all, it's none of your business on what the other person wants, or how the other person identifies, or if the other person is trans or they're not trans, because it's between the two of them. It's not between you and the other person. And if you're just going to keep putting it down, then all the more those people won't come out that they're attracted to trans people. So I think it's kind of normalizing that there are trans people, and that we can be respectable, and there are people who are attracted to trans, and there are, and we all can be proud of that as well. So that kind of is my, at least one step to being an ally for me. You don't have to be attracted to a trans person to kind of be an ally.
Yeah.
You could just be anybody, and just kind of, I mean, just accept the fact that some of us are beautiful and we can be loved.
Yeah.
I feel like so serious. I kind of had to break it. So.
No, but it's true though. I mean, I feel like a lot of people that are trans attracted, um, also don't want to be made fun of. Like, being made fun of is already hard. I'm like, just like being bullied sucks. No matter what, like no matter what or who you are, what shape, size, gender you are, it already sucks. Like, even if you're cis, you can get like bullied to a point where it causes like a lot of trauma in your life. So like, even like if your partner's getting bullied and then you're getting bullied because you're attracted to your partner, that sucks. That really sucks. So like, that's a good point. And I'm not saying like all people are like that. Some people, like, there are certain apps where like a lot of people are very respectful. Like when they find out that I'm trans, or like they read my profile finally after swiping. And finally, because like I know, like, but the first thing that I say is like, okay, great, like I'm glad that we matched. I hope you understood my profile. And then I'm like, oh, I missed it. Sorry, didn't catch that. Good luck. And I'm like, that's fine with me. I love those replies, and that makes me feel like, okay, cool. Like, there are guys out there that aren't, what do you call this, threatened. They're what do you call this? Their masculinity isn't threatened by being like finding somebody that's not cis attractive. And I think that's the biggest thing. Is like, if you feel like you're gay because you just found somebody that attractive, like even if it's the same sex, like same gender or whatnot, and if you find them attractive, that doesn't mean you're gay, dude. Like, sorry. Like, it really doesn't. Just accept the fact, like, oh, that person's attractive, and like, okay, but then that's not my preference, and just like pass.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what I think. Sorry. Yeah.
So serious topics. Oh my god.
Yeah, well, that's why I love it. Like, you know, like when you talk to this person, like it's funny. Because like our serious topics can be so funny too, though.
It's funny.
But it's
Well,
like Esmeralda's like the coolest person ever.
or two.
So I don't know if you got the answer that that you want, because it's kind of like a broad question. So at least that's where my mind went when you asked the question.
Oh no,
And yet,
definitely normalizing again, like what you said, trans attraction, and that even something as simple as that is it doesn't have to be a big issue if you know someone or are attracted to someone that happens to be trans. I think that's just so important because, like, unfortunately, inequality is normalized at the moment, and it's like so slow steps like that, like the way you treat a topic or something like that helps. So that definitely answered my question, I think. Moving on from dating to work, and just are there big differences in how you feel someone that's cisgender versus someone who is transgender, like the differences in a workplace there, and how someone, if you have a friend or a coworker that is aware of your identity, how they can be an ally in a place that might not know that you're trans. Not that it is important, not that it is not that it should be a topic in your workplace, but I know there's certain discussions sometimes.
It will be a topic on the workplace. That's another given fact, but you know.
But how can that environment be made easier, or how can an ally help someone who's trans in that environment, you know, or advocate for them?
Yeah. You want Lee? So I work in a place where I actually transitioned there. So obviously they know about it, like at the immediate department, and then of course we work with other departments, and some of them have seen, you know, my transition also, and it was obviously a big thing. I'm an instant celebrity at work, but which should not be, you know, because some people might view it as, you know, like pretty much that's not something acceptable, because it shouldn't matter if you're trans or not, as long as you're doing the job, then you're there to work. But obviously some of your coworkers become your friends, and some of them, they also have other friends, so they would talk. So some of my coworkers that I consider an ally are the ones who would, at least if the other people would have questions about it, they would defend us, you know, that again, maybe making it more normalized. There was this one incident where I had a patient that was my patient before and then came back, and then he asked my coworker, like, what's wrong with him? It was like him at that time, because I was like new transition. And my coworker just said, you know, well, she's transgender and she's proud of it. Like, she's a proud transgender woman. And it was interesting me to hear that, because I probably won't know to tell people to say that, because it's like, I mean, that's how he felt, just that how he would react to that, like, instance, you know. So sometimes being an ally is kind of in you already, and then how you react to other people will come from you. It's not kind of for me to know, like, how that will happen. But those are kind of like some simple instances that I've seen it happen, because I know their love for me, and I know that, you know, however they answered with other people, it was coming from love and coming from an ally standpoint. And if it came back to me, if I feel like it's offensive, then I know that I can talk to them, and, like, I don't know, whatever it is that we need to talk about. But yeah, so there's no specific way to answer on how to be an ally. I think it kind of comes from inside, like knowing me, knowing that it should be normal, that it's not something that it should be sensationalized, and like if it's coming from love, I think that's a good start. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think like you've been a great ally, Esme, because like you listen and like if you make I feel like you know more than I do. Sometimes you I mean I know I have a lived experience, but you keep yourself on top of things. And I'm not sure if it's because like we're both in the entertainment industry or whatnot, but like you keep yourself updated with like stuff. And then if there's something that you're not clear about, you kind of ask me at times, not all the time, because like I feel like I don't have all the answers. Like I said, like my experiences to won't be the same as Angel's
Yeah.
and whatnot. Like plus like our preferences won't be the same too. So it's just knowing that like just like doing your own research, and if you're not clear, just like make sure like the friend that you like your friend at work that's trans or blah blah blah, like they're okay to answer your own questions, like how we're doing this right now. Like you're like I know you know the answers to these questions because you're just that awesome. But you're just
every day, and I think it's just admitting to there'll never be an end to the knowledge, especially in an experience that I'll never know. You
yeah.
know,
And we'll never know. Like I won't ever know like everything also,
Yeah.
There will be probably some specific instances that it's super obvious. Like if somebody is considering two people for the promotion and one would say, yeah, but this other person have a problem because she's trans, she's confused about her gender, or kind of like, or they will confuse the other people who will be coming here, then I think in that situation it will be good to kind of speak up that that shouldn't be part of the equation, because that shouldn't matter. What matters is who can actually do the job better. Um, so I think some instances will come up as obvious, and it will be coming from you if you have the courage, which I hope you guys will, to kind of speak up, saying that it's normal. It's not. It shouldn't be a problem that they cannot work just because they're trans.
yeah.
And unfortunately we're running out of time. Girl, like you have like so many great questions. It's annoying. Can you come back again and ask more questions when you're
I know.
I know you're
Yeah.
super busy.
But is there anything else that you guys wanted to kind of finish up and say? I know you both maneuver so much. I was just curious if you guys had any questions.
Well, just say like, well, for you, just like thank you for being like so amazing and like.
Oh,
hopefully-
I'm sorry. Just people haven't normalized treating trans people equally, because that's the most basic thing you could do. So I don't think you should feel grateful for something that should be a basic right. So
Yes, but in this time, if it's a rarity, then I'm grateful for that. And thank you
Yes.
very much, Esmeralda, for being that and for being a guest at Charot Room.
Yes, Charot. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.